NottsRockCast is an association with Regular Riot. Welcome to NottsRockCast, the Notts Alternative Scene podcast. And here is your host, Jethro D, bringing you everything Notts and rock.
Hey, Notts Rockers, this is NRC-002 on YouTube. Yes, we're on YouTube. I just want to say what everyone else says and give us a like, give us a share, and click that subscribe button and ding that bell, because you will then be notified of more podcasts that are coming out on the YouTube channel. Right, let's get on with the chat. Welcome, Pixie. Say hello.
Hey up.
Here we are. We have Pixie Styx, singer-songwriter from Nottingham, who regularly attends open mic nights, charity events, and recently has done the Ox Jam Festival in Beeston. I know she makes her own clothes, and we're going to go a bit more into that later. Also, she works with homeless charities, which is something I think you'll find interesting. Would you like to introduce yourself and tell us what you do?
I make things generally. I take assorted bits of gubbins and rubbish and turn them into something else. And I do that with my clothes, I do that with my songs, and I do that with my life experiences. And life's been interesting, so I've got a lot of material to work with.
That's absolutely brilliant. I think recycling's one of the things that is something that we all try and do, and whether we do a little bit of it or we do a lot of it, just even the little bits will help and contribute towards keeping our earth together, won't it?
I think one of the things that's great fun is finding what works for you. And for me, collecting other people's clothes that they're going to throw in the bin and giving them a whole new lease of life is something that's very personal to me. I think that's what's important. Find what works for you. Because if it's not sustainable, you're going to give it a go for a week and you're not going to bother anymore. But you find something that you actually enjoy and it has a positive benefit to it as well.
Brilliant. Is this charity shops or is this other places that you find this?
A lot of it's charity shops. Literally, for me, a nice day out is pick a place, go to every charity shop that's there. And, you know, quite often I'll come away with absolutely nothing. But sometimes my rucksack will be bulging and I'll be so excited about the possibilities of what I can make. What I like as well, I've told a lot of my friends, never throw a pair of jeans out. I'm completely in love with working with denim. I've just destroyed a 35-year-old sewing machine sewing denim.
Wow, okay. I do enjoy a bit of sewing myself. I've got battle jackets, and to be honest, again, I enjoy charity shops. I really enjoy that Nottingham has so many different places that you can get to.
Yep.
You've got like Hucknall, Bulwell, then you've got Beeston, you've got West Bridgeford, which I found out the other day, and we went around the charity shops there and really enjoyed it.
I like how everywhere's got its own sort of flavour as well. Like, I've never had money ever in my entire life, for more than 5 minutes anyway. So I like going to Bulwell because everything in the charity shop's priced like a charity shop. There's other places like, you know, if you go to the charity shops where the rich people live, then you get nice clothes.
That's actually quite true. If anyone sees me out and about, I do actually wear battle jackets quite a lot, which are denim patch jackets. And to be honest, all of them have come from charity shops. I've never bought from new. I get them, I stick a bit of dye in the washing machine with them, and then cut the sleeves off. The last jacket that I got, I didn't actually cut the sleeves off, and so I've got a bit of a winter coat going on.
It's nice to have a bit of variety, ain't it? I'm having a bit of a thing at the moment where I like, when I gig, to wear something that I've made. That's one of my things. I don't really like to gig if I'm, you know, anyone can put an outfit together out of shop bought stuff, but it makes it a little bit more me if I wear something that I've made with my own hands.
That's brilliant. I actually have looked through your Facebook last night and actually seen quite a lot of people pick up on that.
Yeah, people seem to like it. My poppy coat that I've got, my floor-length coat, it's got bright red felt poppies on it. It was a beautiful coat, charity shop buy, great price. I seem to get a lot of little old ladies running at me and hugging me and telling me that they love me coat.
Oh, that's lovely.
It is lovely. Sometimes it's a bit scary though.
I suppose, but well, yeah. I do like to ask, give us a quote of inspiration you've learnt from your time in Notts.
I think the piece of advice that stuck with me the most has come from my dad through my granddad, and it's basically keep your ears open, pin your tabs back, yeah. Listen.
Pin your tabs back.
Pin your tabs back.
You
Proper
forget I'm
Nottingham.
Southern. Just explain tabs to me.
Ears.
Oh, your ears, right? Cool.
Get them there. Listen, but listen to everything that everyone's got to say, and then take the bits that are important to you. Because even if somebody is chatting waffle and they've got nothing interesting initially to say, there might be a gem of wisdom in there that's worth bothering with. And if you don't take the time to listen, then you're never going to learn that.
I think listening definitely does help. Because I enjoy music, I run a studio, so I listen to a lot of stuff all the time. And I listen to people especially. It's interesting what people say and what people mean.
Yes.
So I think that's what you were getting at with that quote then.
Yeah, well, a little bit of that and a little bit of it's important to make your own mind up about things. There's a lot of times when one person who you might respect has got something to say, another person who you respect equally says exactly the opposite. If you listen to both points of view, make your own mind up. But if you listen, then you're informed by both sides of an argument. Your own truth might be somewhere right bang in the middle. You might be on either side, but you need to make that up for yourself rather than let somebody else tell you how to think.
I think that actually kind of sums up the alternative scene, doesn't it,
You
in
know
a way?
what? I hadn't even thought about it like that.
That is absolutely brilliant, and you hadn't even thought about that.
No, I hadn't made the connection.
It's more about people try to be themselves, and talking with a few other people, it's like, be yourself.
Yeah.
Try, and I said this in the intro cast, just be yourself. Be who you want to be.
Too many people spend too much time uptight. You know, when you see somebody who has a really sensible job for the whole life and then they retire and they dye their hair and they get a load of piercings and tattoos, it's like, dude, you could have been doing that since you was 12. Like, well.
Wow. That is, yeah. No, I completely agree. Don't put it off till tomorrow. Be yourself
on
today.
the other hand, I am in my mid to late 30s and I'm making a lot of choices now. So on the one hand, do it when you can, but it's never too late.
No, I completely agree with that. Carrying on, so what do you do with your time in Notts? I've given you a bit of an introduction, but if you want to explain a bit more.
My ethos is I make things, and that applies to music, that applies to clothes, it applies to dragging pieces of furniture that people have thrown out off the street and turning them into something different. So I've always been, right from a kid, that person who who wants to make things and be creative. I was thinking this morning on my way here, though, that since I was a child, I've also been about 70% little old lady. When I was 7, I was doing embroidery in bed. Yeah, after I'd been sent to bed and I was supposed to be sleeping and I was sat there doing cross stitch and I sewed my embroidery to my duvet. I spent a very tense night trying not to roll on the needle and wondering what my mum would say in the morning.
I think I laid awake at night watching movies, to be honest. Trying to
cool.
not keep the sound up and then working out how I can plug my headphones into the TV.
Oh, that's amazing.
Yeah.
I used to love at Christmas, we always used to get a book and a torch. And I think it's because my parents were smart, because they knew we were bookworms, all of us as kids.
Yeah.
And that if we had a torch and we could just hide underneath the duvet and pretend that we were doing something really naughty, reading a famous 5 book, then we wouldn't wake them up as early.
Wow, that's, yeah. Can you go a bit more into your singer-songwriting?
Oh, sorry, yeah.
Because I think, no, that's not why you're here. You're here because we're talking about you. As I said to you before we started this interview, this podcast isn't about the music of Nottingham, really. It's about the person. From knowing you from a singer-songwriter background, you have actually done a song with me here in my studio, which was Damp Patch, which is on my SoundCloud at the moment. So if you want to go check that out, I will actually put the player in the show notes as well, so you can have a listen to it. I think it was a brilliant song.
It's a little bit naughty, though.
But as I think my wife said when she was listening downstairs, she was listening to it and so many songs repeat themselves over and over, and she was listening and thinking, oh my God, this is a song that's going to be like the rest. They're talking and making innuendos about stuff. And then heard the last verse, which kind of brought it alive to her, which changed the whole perspective and spin on it, which I think's brilliant.
Well, thank you for that. The way I kind of approach my music is I try and be true to myself, and everything is created from my life experiences. I have tried a few times to write a song that's like happy all the way through, but then I realised that's just too saccharine. It's not true to my life.
No.
So I'll have to do something like, and I think putting a twist on it is a good way of doing it, making it. I have a theatre background. I did train as a theatre director.
Yeah.
And I found that my passions were the alternative theatre scene. My degree that I started was alternative theatre and new performance practices.
Yes.
And we were looking at anything that was unconventional and a little bit different. And for me, I've always loved the idea of setting up an expectation with an audience of any kind, be it theatre, be it music, and then subverting that somehow. And I think with my music, one of the things I try to do is quite often there's a contrast. If you're not really listening, you can appreciate, oh, this bit sounds pretty. But if you're actually listening to the words, quite often it's something that's a bit darker or a bit deeper.
Yeah.
And I like contrasting that with chirpy.
I must admit, when I do my own music in the past, I found raw emotion tends to come out a lot better than forced emotion. You know, we want to be happy, so we'll write a happy song. And it doesn't seem to work. If you're happy, you write a happy song. If you're not feeling too great, you write a sad song. But the main thing is you get your emotions out in your music, I think.
It's interesting that you say that. For me, yeah, when I'm miserable, I'll write a miserable song. When I'm happy, I won't. When I'm happy, I'm out the woods, I'm climbing trees, I'm collecting chestnuts in a miniskirt.
Oh, wow. Fair enough.
That was what I was doing on the way back from Oxjam. I played a lovely little gig in a tiny little skirt in a Waffle House, and then on the way back I seen sweet chestnuts. So I'm stood by the road in my little skirt and my thigh-high boots collecting chestnuts to roast for dinner. Bag of contradictions. It's the same with the music as it is with my life.
That's absolutely brilliant. How did you get started with this? Do you want to talk me through it?
There's a lot of different points that could be considered a start, yeah. When I was 11, I was a very nerdy child. I had braces, big thick glasses, always had my rucksack up too high. I wrote a Star Trek musical at one point.
Star Trek?
Star Trek, the musical.
That's brilliant. No, to be honest, I don't think that's been done. So we might have to give a shout out to Star Trek and say there's a script waiting for you.
It had Sunshine After the Rain by Elkie Brooks in it.
That's brilliant.
Very eclectic. But I remember seeing a gospel choir perform at my school and
Yes.
thought that they were really amazing. So I turned up as my geeky little 11-year-old self into a room full of very sophisticated, from my perspective, women who were all 16 plus.
Yes.
And I spent a good couple of years with them feeling like the cute little mascot when I was there because I wanted to sing. That's a starting point. Although I grew up in a church, I sang for a church when I was tiny.
Oh.
I think I was probably, me and my sister would have been 2 and 3 when we sang Silent Night for the Christmas Carol concert by candlelight. So that's probably my first performance. Then I didn't do music for a long time. I was in all the, the musical theatre shows at college. I did a lot of that.
Which college was that?
Glenorghy CTC. Big up the Blue Theatre Massive.
Oh, right, okay.
It was great fun. We actually had a really inspirational drama teacher who wouldn't let us be good for kids. We had to be good, period. So he
that's brilliant.
pushed us really hard and we created some absolutely amazing things. After I left the college, I went and pursued theatre really hard. And I didn't really, I enjoyed nights out. I enjoyed, the local scene in Luton where I was living at the time was pretty amazing. I was going to see bands a lot, but I wasn't making any music myself. I was concentrating on learning my craft as a theatre practitioner.
Yes.
Then I had a complete and utter breakdown and got kicked out of uni.
Oh, dear.
And that started a period of my life that was really quite challenging. I spent most of 10 years either homeless or in short-term tenancies with slum landlords and holes in the floor, or sofa surfing, wound up in a hostel, wound up in a halfway house. And the point where I would say I got back into music as an adult was when I was living in the halfway house. I'd done a year in a hostel. There was a lot of negative behaviour happening around me. There were people who were in the hostel. Obviously, everyone's got their own difficulties. Some of that was manifesting in behaviour, and there's a lot of people on a lot of different substances, a lot of fighting, a lot of negativity. So I thought I need to find something else to do with myself. So I took a complete swerve and I joined Streetwise Opera, and I did opera for a year.
Oh, right, okay.
And that wound up with us going to the South Bank Centre in London and performing a section from Das Rheingold. And it is completely not...
Sorry, what was that again?
Das Rheingold, the Ring Cycle.
Oh, right.
It's a series of operas. It's interesting how things tie in. It's based around some of the same stories that Norse mythology.
Yes.
It's a take on some of the stories. The characters are very familiar from my time as a Viking reenactor, but it's with a different slant. So I did that for a year, and then I got kicked out of that.
Oh dear! It seems like you've had a bit of an up and down.
I'm a complete pain in the bum, Jeffrey.
Yeah, I do actually know you personally, so sometimes yes, you can be, but at least you keep rising up to new challenges, I think, and that's not. You've had some downs, but you keep seeming to bring yourself back up.
I get bored.
Fair enough. And to be honest, I was going to ask you another question, but it seems like you've already answered it. What compelled you to become who you are today? So I think you've already read my questions and already answered it for me. Was anything else you'd like to add to that?
Yeah, I think there's a massive thing that I'd sort of pegged to bring up here, which was I was pretty different as a child. I've always picked my own path, and I've always stood out a little bit from the crowd in one way or another, and I got picked on at school I got bullied quite badly at various points, and I think for me that's just given me the incentive to, now I'm an adult, go, I don't really need to care about anybody else's opinion. I will make up my mind whether or not I respect a person, and if I do, then their opinion matters, but it doesn't matter as much as my opinion of what I want to do with my life. If that sounds arrogant, so be it, but I think when you have people terrorise you for standing out, you get to a point, for me it was when I went to college the second time, where I'm like, wait a minute, everyone else here is a grown-up, and nobody cares that my hair's a bit different, and nobody cares that I think it's appropriate to come in on non-uniform day in an outfit that everybody else thinks is completely wacky. People can appreciate you a bit more when you're out in the real world, so...
Wow, okay. I definitely think that myself. I must say, when I was in secondary school, I actually started growing my hair first time. It wasn't as long as I got it now, but I grew it. I then got to a point where I had to cut it because of what my interest that I was pursuing at the time, which then I went from like having really long hair and then having little devil horn fringe at the front.
I've seen a photo.
Oh no, don't.
No, seriously, the long hair suits you.
Yeah, definitely. But yeah, and then I've grown it my second time, and I don't think I'm going to cut it again.
Excellent.
It's one
I'm
of them
all for
things.
long hair. Have you seen the things about the power in your hair?
Nope.
There's schools of belief that if you, it comes from before the Samson Delilah thing, but the Samson
I was just going to say,
sums it up quite nicely. No, there's some, I believe it's, it might be Native American, saying that if you trim your hair, it takes away your power and virility as a man.
Oh, right.
And I think it's quite interesting that, yes, we're moving away from that idea that men have to have short hair. We have been for a long time now. But I think the whole hipster thing's confusing to me, because I used to know what kind of men I'd be interested in from if they had a beard, and now I don't know. Now I can't tell.
Fair enough. Well, personally, I think you should look into their personalities more than whether they've got a beard.
You've got something's got to attract you in the first place.
No. We are still animals at the end of the day, and I do try and say that quite a lot in a personal setting. Okay, then moving on. Any special mentions or more details you'd like to talk about? Because I know you work with a lot of homeless charities, and I've seen a lot of the gigs you do based towards helping the homeless. Is there anything you'd like to say on that?
Well, I've recently fallen in with some amazing people. Punks for the Homeless and We Shall Overcome, I've been working with quite a lot recently. It's been really nice to be in a position where I feel like music got me out of some of the troubles and difficulties around me when I was homeless, when I was working my way through that. So now I'm in a position where I can do something to help out a little bit with that.
Yeah.
We did the We Shall Overcome gig at Emmanuel House recently, and that was great because we were actually working in a place that's for the homeless, it supports the homeless. Some of the audience...
Okay, where's that, sorry?
It's at the bottom of Hockley, you know.
Emmanuel House, you said?
Emmanuel House.
Oh, right,
yeah.
okay.
It's got a charity shop, and then it's got the centre is the separate part of it.
Yes.
A lot of my gigging clothes have come from the Emmanuel House charity shop.
That's cool.
A lot of stuff that I've ripped to pieces. I got a old school policeman's jacket from there for £1.
Oh.
So it's definitely worth hitting up the Emmanuel House charity shop.
Okay, I will definitely go and have a look down there.
Wait.
To be honest, I don't think I've actually got down that far, so I've completely missed it.
Do it.
And this is what this podcast is about, is like I said, pulling out them little gems that you won't hear about and you need to hear about. So yes, get yourself down there. If you don't know where Hockley is, get off at Lace Market on the tram or head behind the town hall and just keep heading over the hill.
The other part of the place is the centre that works with their I hate the term service users. The people that use Emmanuel House, they're people. Yes. I don't like seeing people lumped under a term like that. But a lot of the people who were in the audience, it was pretty much half people who were supporting Punks for the Homeless, and then half the people who were actually in the centre using it on a regular basis.
Yes.
So it's really lovely to come together as a community. Throw a cute few quid in the pot. We did a raffle. There were some absolutely amazing people performing there too. Like, I'm totally in love with Paul Carbuncle as an artist. That man's absolutely amazing. And I want to be just like him, except with boobs.
Okay, fair enough.
But because it's something that is really close to me, I actually spent half the gig bawling my eyes out. I only put eyeliner on the top eyelids because I know it was something that was going to move me. And yeah, it's phenomenal to see people coming together around a cause that means so much to me and actually making a difference. I saw a difference. I saw a photograph this morning on Facebook of the Emmanuel House store cupboard, and it's full. And it's full of food, it's full of clothing, it's full of toiletries and socks, all the things that they distribute to people who need it.
Yes.
And in part because of the big push that we've had recently, it's the cold weather's coming in. It's very difficult for people at this time of year. Their store cupboard's full. Please believe it will get empty again. So if you've got anything that's relevant, take it down to Emmanuel House. They'll definitely appreciate it.
That's really nice. How does someone from the streets get help from Emmanuel House?
Just go there.
It's
literally that simple. If I know it's not easy for everybody to have online access, but they've got if you Google them, all the information to get in touch with them is there. But just go there. It's open in the daytime. I'm not sure what the opening hours are. I probably should have researched this a little bit before I came down.
That's fine. I can
speak to them.
I will get the details off you afterwards, and they'll go in the show notes, which you can find under this podcast,
Great.
which will lead you back to the website and then have all the details on there. But no, definitely, I'll put the details up and how people can get involved.
Thank you.
Is there any more you'd like to say on this? Any other charities?
My first gig that I ever did was for World Mental Health Day, which is another charity that means an awful lot to me.
Yes.
And the Venn diagram between homelessness issues and mental health issues is rather large, so there's a lot of overlap there.
Seems to be rather a big topic at the moment.
Well, it's a big... I think modern life causes mental health problems.
Yeah.
I think modern life causes the homelessness problem, and I think where it works best is where people come together, and it's heart, ain't it? It's all heart.
Yeah.
People who care make a massive difference, and I'm seeing the more you look for it, the more you see that there are a lot of people who care. There's a lot of problems, so there's a lot of work still to be done, but there's a lot of people trying to make a difference, and that's really, really heartening.
I think that's absolutely brilliant, and you're keeping it together absolutely well. This is not an easy subject to be talking about,
and I'm the most emotional person. I cried my eyes out to an episode of Pokemon, so I'm quite impressed.
Pokemon?
Seriously, Pokemon.
I thought that's how you get Lady Gaga on a bus. Anyway, moving on. Let's crack on with this. What hurdles did you personally face, and how did you overcome them? I know you've talked a lot about these. Is there a particular one you'd like to tell people that might be going through something similar?
I think a hurdle that I'm facing at the moment is I'm having quite a lot of challenges with my physical health. I've got hypermobile spine and I've got chronic pain syndrome, and it becomes quite challenging to balance all of the things that I want to do, particularly to better my own mental health.
Yes.
So I found as I got more into music and as I developed a skill that to a level that people could actually appreciate it, I found that I was impacting people. I was actually connecting with audiences, and that was something that helps me a great deal. If I can go home at the end of the night and one person's told me that what I've sung, what I've written means something to them, then that's something I can keep with me for the next few days. And even if I'm, I might be in pain, I might be struggling, but yeah, I can remember that lady with ginger hair in Kimberley. It's stuff like that. That's the positivity. So I suppose the challenge is the combination of the physical health problems, the mental health problems, the circumstantial stuff like ending up homeless. And I think for me, the getting over it is it's finding things that work for you. But I think the more you can appreciate small things and pick the right things to dwell on.
Oh, right.
Everybody can get, about that thing that person said that didn't make you feel nice. But if you spend more time thinking on the thing that other person said that did make you feel nice, that's the vibe that you take through to the rest of the day. And we've all got control over that to a degree.
Yeah, I think that's absolutely brilliant thing to say. And I know if you're saying about physical endurances to put up with, going to gigs and stuff can't be easy. So do you do anything to help you get there with your equipment?
I've got a very big boyfriend. No, I'm very blessed, actually. I find myself in a position where I've got a good support network around me.
Okay.
And I think keep your tribe strong. Find the people who are like you. Find the people who like you.
Yeah.
And find the people who you like. And stick together and make it work. My brother and my fella are amazing. If either of them are available at a time when I'm performing, they'll come, they'll carry the guitar for me. I put myself in a little bit of a pickle because I broke the handle on my hard case.
Oh,
and
no.
I'm quite scared. Well, I did a bad thing. I broke my Yamaha.
Oh, dear. Is this one of your guitars, I'm guessing?
Yes, this is Jody. They've all got names.
They've all got names.
Yeah.
That's cool. I think I own about 15 guitars now, and I haven't named one of them, I don't think.
Wow. If I had 15, I'd
apart from
maybe...
Bastard and Bitch, but that's about it.
I've got a ukulele that I call fucking piece of shit.
Wow. Okay, fair enough.
It cost me a £5 from a charity shop, and I think it was in the charity shop because it don't stay in tune more than 2 seconds.
Oh, wow. Okay, that's fair enough. Right then, we're going to come to the end of this round of you and what you do. So we're going to take a break, have a listen to one of the local band songs, and then we're going to come back for Nottingham Rock.
Yay.
And just to remind you, if you do want to listen to the local band music that's played in the podcast, please go to the NottsRockCast website. Now let's get back to the chat. Right, welcome back. We got ourselves Pixie Styx here. Say hello again.
I don't say hello. I say A up because I'm thoroughly Nottingham.
Thoroughly Nottingham. Well, this next section is Nottingham Rock. Yeah. So what do you love about living in Notts?
I actually did move away from Nottingham for a while and I got horrifically homesick, yeah.
Right.
And that was even while I was living in London because I missed that there was always something to do in Nottingham. And that might sound nuts when I was living in London.
Right.
But everything's closer together in Nottingham.
That is one of the things that I've heard quite a lot of from people. The fact that you're in a city and it's a city, but it's not a big city. And coming from down south, as I've said before, I used to spend quite a lot of time in Reading. And again, that's city-sized, but really it's a small town and everyone called it a town. So I keep forgetting to say city and I keep saying, oh, you're going to town today. And you're like, no, it's a city.
We used to have this argument when I was growing up because there's a sign on the way into Bulwell that says town centre. So I was a little bit of an obnoxious child. And when people would say, because I grew up in Bulwell.
Yes.
Because people would say, oh, I'm going town. I'd be a pain in the bum and be like, you mean Bulwell then? Because that's the city centre down there.
Yeah, that definitely makes sense.
Another thing that I do, sorry.
No, carry on. No, believe it or not, we're talking about you. We're not talking about me. So if I
we're
interrupt,
not talking about
just
me.
shut
We're
up.
talking about Nottingham now. And I am proper, like, evangelically love Nottingham, yeah? One of the things that I thought was great is I should by rights be a proper city kid.
Right.
But I'm not. I'm like 50% wild child who grew up in the woods because one of the greatest things about Nottingham is it's easy to get to outside, wild, green spaces. You've got that I get antsy when I spend too long in the concrete jungle, yeah?
That's cool.
I'm a person who needs to be out and about and in the woods. And we've got great parks in Nottingham. Some of them are, really manicured, really looked after.
Yeah.
I used to like hanging out in the Arboretum when I was in the hostels because it was a really quick way to go from, oh, this is horrible to, oh, this is lovely. So, yeah, that was great. But there's so many places as well that have got the mixture of manicured, well looked after, beautiful lawns and gardens. But then there's also woods. I love climbing trees, rope swings, camping, all of that. And it's so easy to do it in Nottingham.
That is something I didn't actually think about, and I've kind of taken it for granted. Spent so much of my childhood in woods, like literally living in the Chilterns. It was so much time, and still now with my wife having dogs, we've been to quite a few different places to take the dogs for a walk, and I forget that being in a city, you could stand in the centre of the city and not see the woods, and then standing in the woods, you wouldn't see the city.
Yep, it's like there's two different worlds. I was up in Snapewood having a walk around with my dad and the dog yesterday, and at various parts of being in that little woods, it's really tiny. We pulled it up on Google Maps and had a little look to see where we were. It's an area we know really well. We've walked around there a lot of times, but it was interesting to engage with my dad on a technological level because he's quite old and it's all quite new to him. So he's like, oh, can you zoom in on this? I'm like, yes, Dad, it's Google Maps. Of course, I've just zoomed in from the whole world to this part.
Is that why it looked really small because you weren't zoomed in?
Yeah, probably. No, it's not a massive place and it's right in the middle of like a housing estate.
Yeah.
You come out one side on a road, you come out another side on the bus route, and there's a motorway just over there.
Oh, right.
But at various points, if you just don't listen to the motorway, you could be miles away from civilization. You can't see a road, you can't see people for ages. And it's knowing those little spots, ain't it?
Yeah, no, it is. So with the next question, what is your favourite part? Is it a little spot that people don't know about?
It's probably not going to be a spot that people don't know about. I really like Nooster Abbey. It's an obvious one to go for.
That's the one between Mansfield and Nottingham, isn't it? Or am I got the wrong place?
I know everywhere by bus routes, isn't it?
So Pronto bus route.
Oh God, now I've said that.
Oh, here we go.
I've become quite reliant on the internet. I just Google everything before I go there.
Oh, fair enough.
I've been blessed. Like my dad's got a camper van, so for my whole life, we've just been able to go to wherever we want to go. And because I don't drive, I find myself knowing lots about places to walk around, but I zone out because I'm chatting in the van on the way to places. Yeah. And then when you get there, I can take you anywhere you want to go from there, but don't ask me to get you home again.
No, fair enough. Sometimes I wish I could go to a place and actually stay there. But brilliant. So Newstead Abbey.
Newstead Abbey, and I particularly like there's a part that's built up like a little mini castle that's around the side of the lake. There's a bit where there's a big waterfall.
Oh, yes, it is definitely on the Mansfield Road on the way to Mansfield because we went there the other day. It's got Japanese gardens.
Yes,
It's got all the different types of gardens there. You've got the actual abbey.
Yep.
You've got the big pond in the middle that looks a bit like a swimming pool, but it is actually a pond.
That one, there's the statue of Pan in the gardens, and that used to be the Audley Gardens next to that.
Ah, yes.
That's where we used to have picnics as a child. And as I got older, I'm like, oh, parents, that was a dubious choice. I've got really positive memories of a place where orgies used to happen on a regular basis.
What? Sorry?
Yeah, that was the Audley Garden.
What's that mean? Sorry.
People used to have orgies there.
Oh, orgies! Sorry, I thought you were saying Audrey's garden or something.
I used to know someone called Audrey, but I don't think... I never associated her with them.
No, that's fair enough. I'm sorry about that.
But I believe that the castle bit, I think it was Lord Byron's uncle. He used to have his servants reenact maritime military battles and actually blow each other up with cannons.
Wow.
He was proper crazy. And that castle-y bit round the corner.
Crazy or fun? There's this thin line between.
I think it'd be fun if people weren't dying.
Well,
like,
yes.
I'm all for, being a bit bacchanalian about it and having a good time. That's wonderful. But if someone's dead at the end of the night, that's not a good night for me.
No. I completely agree with that one. Was going to say, tell us a story or a myth about Notts or something interesting that you've heard. Would you like to go with what you've already gone?
Oh,
or
I
is
know.
there
I'll give you
something
another
else?
one.
Here we go.
I'd like to bring this back to a family level for a minute. Family is really important to me. And
Right.
it's not a myth, it's not a legend, it's a true story. My great uncle George went over on a boat for the D-Day landings.
Oh, right.
And he took his guitar with him. Now, this guitar is a wonderful guitar. I actually borrowed it for about 6 months when I was 12 to have guitar lessons at school. Please don't think that means I've been playing the guitar since I was 12, because that I wouldn't have the excuses for not being as good as I should be.
I think you're a lot better than you're making
I might
out.
be. I regularly get everything terribly wrong, and I hope that my charisma and the fact that I made my own clothes interests people enough that they forgive me. But my great uncle George took his guitar over on the D-Day landings, and when I borrowed it, I didn't know a lot about guitars. I just thought it was really cool to be able to play a guitar. So I can't tell you what make it is or what model it is. I can tell you it's obviously really old.
Right.
It's got the beautiful F-scroll sound holes on it. And when I was 12, I felt like I was playing a cello with that thing on my knee.
Oh, right, yes.
But he took it over, and on the way, he was asked to play some songs to keep up morale and keep everybody chipper. And so he played a song about how much he missed his missus back at home.
Right.
And so he was told, no, you need to play something happy. Like, we need, something that gets us all in the right frame of mind for this. So he played another song about how he missed home, and then he was told to put it away. And I think it's quite amazing that it came back. My uncle's got the guitar now.
Yep.
I had 6 months with it when I was a kid. That's my story.
Oh, brilliant. That's really cool. Part of doing this podcast is about the alternative scene in Notts. And for someone to take something from here all the way over to a different country and then come back to here is
After the
absolutely
chaos,
awesome.
the chaos and the mayhem that was that day, to be able to say so many people didn't come back, but the guitar did.
Yeah, that is definitely an awesome story there. So, what is your most treasured musical object?
It might be a little bit obvious. It's my guitar called Charlie. I was bought this guitar as a present. I think I would have been maybe my 20th birthday. I couldn't practice very much. All I did was, when I was a kid, I'd learned how to play Let It Be by the Beatles.
Yep.
So anytime I got anywhere near a guitar for the next years, I would play Let It Be and be like, yes, I can play a guitar, and put it back down again. So for the next maybe 15 years after I was given the guitar as a gift, I'd maybe once every 6 months play Let It Be through.
Yep.
And then after I'd done my year of opera with Streetwise, I decided I was looking for something else, something that would fill my time and give me a bit more sense of self-worth.
Yes.
So I decided that I was going to apply to go to Confetti and do a BTEC in music performance.
Right.
So I took my beat-up guitar, Charlie. It's a Washburn student edition from yonks ago, and when I first got it, it was covered in emo band stickers. Half of them I'd never even heard of the bands. There was pen all over the case. It was like, someone had loved it,
Yeah.
but someone with very different tastes to me had loved it. So I peeled all the stickers off, cleaned her up. That meant I had a guitar I could take with me when I got into Confetti. And for the first 6 months at Confetti, that's what I was using to write songs on
That's
and perform
really cool.
with. And then my nephew fell on it when I was camping.
Oh,
So
no.
she smashed to pieces, but she's still pride of place on the
Oh.
wall. And I'm hoping one day, when I've made millions of pounds out of music, I'll be able to have her fixed up again.
That's absolutely brilliant. Sorry, do you mind just telling us what's Confetti?
Confetti Institute of Creative Arts. I think that's right. It's education provider. It's been running in Nottingham for a long time now. They do BTECs, they do degrees, and it's all either music, both the performance side and the tech side. They do animation courses, games, TV, film production, basically anything creative.
Oh, that's it's interesting. Notts has got a lot of different places that does a lot of creative media.
Yep.
Hopefully, a lot of you are listening to this podcast. You're probably actually from Confetti or one of the other colleges. If there's someone that you think's a big part of inspiration that's from one of these colleges or university courses, please give us a nomination. Get on Facebook. Give us a message, tell us who they are, we'll get in contact with them. Hopefully we could get them on and talk to them as well.
I'll give you a list of people.
Yeah, no, that's cool. Seriously, more the merrier at the end of the day. It's nice to hear different opinions, different views about a lot of different stuff. Moving on then. Alt, rock, metal, other. What got you into the genre?
In the first instance...
Sorry, which one?
Which one got me in?
Oh, you don't have to choose one. You just which part.
I think in the first instance it was grunge, it was Nirvana, because I was a proper Glee kid. I was really into musicals.
Right.
My favourite band was Steps. Someone's going to shoot me.
Pirouetting into the room. Or is that a bit more ballet?
Well, no, like I had ballet lessons for a very, very short while, but I was told I had too much bum and too much boobs to be a ballet dancer, so I gave that up quite quickly.
Oh, no.
But that was my background until I moved to Luton and I met some amazingly cool people who I felt quite embarrassed about my musical interests.
Oh.
So I started to have a little listen to what other people were listening to. And I'd say my first experiences with real music was Nirvana and Skunk Anansie, Marilyn Manson. That was my first sort of forays into... It was my growing up. It was Steps.
Yeah.
Steps was what I was into when I was a kid. I
Right.
can still remember all the dance moves to 5, 6, 7, 8. That's the most embarrassing thing.
Nothing embarrassing about that, I suppose.
But at the minute,
Again, I do like to try and tell people to be who they are. So just be proud. We've all got a background. We all enjoy different stuff. As much as I really enjoy thrash music myself, you'll always hear me listening to like Mumford and Sons and stuff like that
I love a bit of
to
Mumford and
chill out.
Sons.
So
for
sorry.
ages now, it's been more the Celtic punk rock type side of things. I love Dropkick Murphys. On a more local level, Seamus Oblivion and the Megadeth Morris Men and Wholesome
I've
Fish
heard
are both
about
freaking
them.
amazing. Both freaking amazing.
Do you know what? My wife put on the fridge the
Seamus Oblivion and the Megadeth Morris Men.
Yep. She wrote it down, put it on the fridge. It sat on the fridge for so long because it's in the kitchen. And every time I'm cooking in there, I look at it and go, I really must take that piece of paper out with me to the laptop. Now I'm going to be sat here editing this podcast and I'm going to have to look it up considering I've got a laptop next to me whilst I'm working on my studio.
You 100% need to do it. But the best thing about them is seeing them live, because I have never seen a band that gets the audience more involved.
Oh, that's
ever.
really good.
They give you sticks. That
Okay,
you
we're
can
gonna
join in with the Morrissey side of it and not Morrissey.
And are they local, did you say?
Yeah.
Let's hopefully I'll
Derbyshire.
try and get them on the show then.
Oh, please do. I'll try and hook you up if at all possible.
Yeah, no, that'd be absolutely brilliant. I'd love to talk
In
to them.
fact, Seamus, I told you I would embroider you a shirt. I'll embroider you your shirt if you come on Jeffro's podcast.
Oh, here we go now then. We're trays off here.
This is a man who always wears bright green spandex leggings to gig in. It is a sight to behold.
Okay.
He's great.
I might have to get a picture of him when we're doing the podcast.
Do it. The whole band look amazing. Every single one of them.
Oh, that's absolutely brilliant. Moving on. Name your most influential band or artist.
That was a really easy one when I was thinking about this. Have you heard of Storm Large?
No, I haven't.
Oh my word, another person that you need to look up.
Okay.
So I first became aware of this lady by watching, the series of programmes Rockstar In Excess and Rockstar Supernova.
I think
Oh, it
I'm
was
a
ages ago.
bit oblivious to that one.
They were
I will
like,
have to look it up and we'll put some links again on the page.
basically it was In Excess started it. They had a TV talent show to find a new lead singer for In Excess.
It is ringing a bell now.
And then they did another one for a band Supernova that
Right.
had Tommy Lee on the drums and Gilby Clarke and Jason Newsted. I really liked the guy who won, but it didn't work. It really didn't work.
Oh.
But what did work was I found out about Storm Large, and she is absolutely amazing. I want my spirit animal to be Storm Large.
Right.
She did this song called Ladylike, and she did it on the Rockstar show,
Yeah.
but they censored her. So she sang What is Ladylike. When I came to cover it at college on my BTEC, I decided I'm not being censored. I'd been censored by my bandmates in the week before, so I was like, no. She says fuck so many times, and that song is unreal.
Oh, well,
it's a great tune.
As I've said, I'm not gonna censor the swearing out. As long as you don't swear at someone, I'm quite happy with that one. To be honest,
I've got a mouth like a trooper,
it is
but
a
I'm not
form of
horrible
expression
person.
to me. So I will definitely look up Storm
Large.
And as I say, I'm going to put a link on the page so you can actually have a look at it yourself.
You want to check out the song as well? My Vagina is 8 miles wide.
Okay then.
I thought I'd get a reaction like that.
Yeah, I think there's probably a lot of people sat there listening to this podcast.
It's brilliant.
Right, moving on. Name one thing you're excited about in the upcoming 6 months.
I don't think as far ahead of 6 months. I'll name you something that I'm excited about in the upcoming week, because that's about as far as I process. On the 27th, I'm doing my first steampunk event. I'm performing for a load of steampunks who have obviously been doing this for a lot longer than I have.
Oh, right.
So I'm currently in the process of making my first steampunk costume. That's a lot of fun.
Is there anything you can't make?
I can't fix my broken guitars.
Fair
or my
enough.
broken sewing machine. I'm not very technologically minded, but I can put my mind to quite a lot of crafty things. In fact, I did once say to my niece and my nephew, is there anything that you'd like me to make? And my niece was like, I want some fairy wings. I was like, oh, I can do that. She went, but they have to actually make me fly.
Oh.
I'm like, oh, shoot, they really think I can make anything. And then my nephew said, I want a thing that goes on my wrist and it's got a button on it. Like, mate, I can do that, no problem. And he's like, yeah, but the button's got to make me 10 times bigger and 10 times stronger.
Wow.
So some people think I can make anything.
I've got to say, children are one thing where their imagination is brilliant, but they believe in they must believe in you so much.
Oh gosh, it's very inspirational to realize that people think that you are way more talented than you actually are.
I say this to a lot of people, and I think we don't realize how much talent we've got inside us. It's really hard nowadays to stick your head out the hole that you're living in and see the people that are telling you you're better than you think you are. A lot of people are dragged down slightly, and by sticking their head out, looking at the people that are there to support them, but not just seeing them, actually using them is a different thing.
I think part of it is that very human thing where you do make yourself a bit vulnerable by putting yourself out there. And I see two sort of main ways of people handling that.
Right.
And some people come across as very cocky and very arrogant. And in the case where a person is phenomenally talented, you can sometimes forgive some of that.
Yeah.
But I see far too many people who are walking around with that level of cockiness and no skill. So I think it's a balancing act, ain't it? I don't feel like I've got the right to claim to be anything amazingly special, partly because I do see that there is talent in everyone.
Yeah.
I do see that I think anyone could do what I do. Honestly, genuinely do. You've got to put a bit of time and effort in if that's what you want to do. But I don't think I'm anything special. I think I've just spent my time working on things that some people appreciate.
That's the key to it. It really is. At the end of the day, it is a bit of time and effort. And it's the one thing that I struggle with. I struggle with with accepting support. I can say to people, I need support doing this, I need support doing that. But generally, I tend to put in as much effort as I possibly can. I don't feel like it some days, and some days you won't, but you've got to put in the effort yourself. And when people see you putting in the effort, they tend to rally behind you. I know people will see that as a bit of a cop-out, but it's your effort that makes it, I think.
Yeah, but I do think that the amount of support that is out there is something that, you're right, you shouldn't underestimate it. Again, I think it's pretty natural that it's not always the easiest thing to accept. But for me, what's worked for me, particularly because I do rely on people sometimes to do things like carry my guitar for me.
Yes.
I find the way that I can make myself okay with that is to try and be as useful as I can be to the people who are helping me. So, yeah, okay, I might feel a bit rough one day and I might need a lot of support. But if I can cook a slap-up meal for everyone in the house the next day, then I feel like, they're not helping me because they want anything back.
Yeah.
But if I can do that, then I don't feel like a charity case. I feel like I'm contributing and I'm pulling my weight too.
Yeah. No, that's very fair. It's like being in a band, isn't it? Everybody does their own musical instrument, but if they don't work together, they're not a band.
It's all about personalities, ain't it? I've had a couple of goes of being in a band now, and my sort of flippant thing when people ask me why I'm not in a band is I'm a pain in the arse to work with. It's not that. I'm very drawn to characters and people who are a bit different and a bit out there, which is a wonderful thing from a creative perspective. It's a wonderful thing socially because these are the kind of people who are exciting and interesting to be around. But if you then are very passionate and butt heads about something, that's when the most spectacular falling outs can happen as well.
Right then, the last question. In your opinion, what makes the Notts alternative scene great? Not what makes Notts great.
I would say it's an openness and a willingness to share ideas and experience.
Okay.
So I found, I will quite happily go up to someone and be like, oh, I love that jacket. I love your boots. What did you do to that?
Yeah.
What hair dye did you use? And I've found it's quite different to some of the other places I've been to. People are really prepared to have a chat with you. Musicians particularly, I will sit and watch people play or stand and watch people play, and I'll be watching what their fingers are doing as well as just appreciating the vibe. And the numbers.
So you've been sat here the whole time watching me fiddle and like my ADHD going about the place.
Tickets are interesting. I'm a bit of a people watcher, and I think the little quirks that different people have are fascinating. It's part of what makes us different.
So, is there any more you wanted to add to the Notts alternative scene?
Well, it's the willingness and openness is a big part of it, but I suppose coming back to something I already said, I like characters. Yeah. There's a lot of, the Nottingham characters. People are welcome as they are and appreciated for their quirks and for the things that make them stand out. And I think it's finding your tribe, ain't it? Yeah. I feel like I fit in a lot of places in Nottingham because I'm Notts and so is everybody else.
Well, you heard it here. If you're from Notts, you're nuts.
Big up Notts mentals.
Right, we're going to bring the podcast to a close. I've been chatting today with Pixie Styx. Would you like to thank anyone out there?
Oh, thank you, Jeffrey, because you sat right out in front of me. I feel like I've name-checked just about everybody that I know in every organisation that's done anything good for me. So I'm off to see a man about a dragon. Take care.
A man about a dragon. Thank you very much, Pixie. Coming up, we have another song. And to be honest, I'm going to play Pixie's song that we recorded here in the studio. Her face has just gone, ah! But yes, as I said, check out the webpage dedicated to this podcast. All the stuff we've talked about, I'm going to get on there. I'm going to put some YouTube videos. I'm going to put some links to Pixie Styx's music. And hopefully when you see her out and about, you can see actually how nuts she is. Keep it Notts, keep it rocks. Thank you very much, Notts Rockers, for listening to NottsRockCast over YouTube. If you would like to check us out on your favourite podcast player, please search NottsRockCast. And don't forget, If you're on social media platforms, give us a like, give us a share. You'll find us at NottsRockCast. Anyway, till next time, keep it Nots, keep it rocks.
NottsRockCast is an association with Regular Riot. Welcome to NottsRockCast, the Notts Alternative Scene podcast. And here is your host, Jethro D, bringing you everything Notts and Rocks.